When Trump stormed back into the White House in January, the US economy, at least on paper, looked much stronger. GDP growth was soaring, way ahead of other developed nations. Jobs were being created at record pace. Inflation was cooling, and wages were finally rising. The economy was finally recovering from COVID. So what did Trump have to do? Simple. Sit back, take the credit, and let the economy do its thing. But instead, he derailed everything, unleashing an economic nightmare. Tariffs skyrocketed, inflation spiraled, markets panicked, unemployment shot up, deportations ramped up, innocent foreign workers illegally detained. The result? Chaos. Businesses froze, scared of random government raids and unpredictable tariff storms. Workers worried about their jobs cut back their spending. Make no mistake, this is a self-inflicted disaster, all thanks to Trump's big ego.
You're not known to be a humble man, but I wonder...
I think I am actually humble. I think I'm much more humble than you would understand.
And the September jobs report proves just that. Guess what? Jobs numbers haven't been this bad since COVID, the last time Trump was president. In September alone, 32,000 private sector jobs vanished. A shocking reversal after economists predicted a gain of 50,000 jobs. That's not just a miss, that's a full-blown collapse. And guess where the pain hit hardest? Small businesses. The backbone of the American economy is bleeding jobs, crushed under the weight of Trump's reckless tariffs and economic uncertainty. Businesses with fewer than 50 employees are shutting down or slashing staff because they simply can't afford to survive in this chaotic landscape. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the government shutdown is threatening over 2 million federal workers. Over 750,000 are already furloughed. No pay, no work, and no answers. Meanwhile, US manufacturing is in freefall, losing jobs for the fourth month in a row. Remember when tariffs were supposed to protect American factories? Turns out, they're just making things more expensive and driving jobs overseas. Who could have thought? The unemployment rate has now spiked to 4.3%. The highest we've seen since October 2021. And hiring? It's at a historic low. The weakest start to a year since the Great Recession in 2009. Employers are freezing hiring due to Trump's stupid trade wars, immigration crackdowns, and yes, the rise of AI. Wall Street didn't take the news lightly. Stocks plunged, the dollar dropped, and US Treasury yields tumbled. The markets are reacting to the data and it's clear. Confidence in Trump's economy is collapsing. Many are convinced a recession is coming, despite strong GDP growth in Q2 of 2025. Remember when Trump promised to defeat inflation and make America affordable again? He promised to lower prices, yet grocery bills are now rising at their fastest pace in the past 2 years. He promised he'd revive American manufacturing, but his own tariffs and anti-immigration policies sabotaged that dream. He promised he'd protect working-class families and farmers, then turned around and hit them with punishing tariffs and brutal benefit cuts. Economists warned us from day one, but you didn't need a degree to see how disastrous these policies are. The question is, what pathetic excuse will Trump make, or who will he blame this time? Trump already sacked the head of the Bureau for Labor Statistics when he didn't like the July jobs report. Blaming Biden or the Fed is also looking very ridiculous. Will Trump ever accept he was wrong and reverse the tariffs and his other policy failures? Probably not. In any case, expect the October jobs report to be even more brutal. That is assuming the government is back by then. The worst thing is, Trump and his billionaire buddies won't feel a damn thing. While they sip champagne, the working class are stuck with the mess, dealing with rising prices and job losses. They play politics like a game, and we pay the price in real life. Trump knows he's screwed up, and he is already worried about political death at the midterm polls. That's why he's pressuring Republicans across the country to gerrymander more and more districts, desperate to hold on to power. All eyes are now on Jerome Too Late Powell, as Trump mockingly calls him, the man at the helm of the Federal Reserve, and possibly the last hope to stop this economic disaster. With businesses crumbling and jobs vanishing, the pressure is on. The US economy is screaming for interest rate cuts, and fast. Cutting rates could be the boost needed. Cheaper loans, more spending, more investment, and a lifeline for small businesses gasping for air. But here's the catch. The Fed isn't making any promises. They've made it crystal clear. Every decision now hinges on the data. Inflation, jobs, consumer spending. If those numbers don't bounce back, more aggressive rate cuts are almost guaranteed. In September, After a disastrous August jobs report, the Fed finally blinked, cutting the benchmark rate by 0.25%. And now, with another brutal month on the books, the pressure is mounting for them to slash rates even further. But even if the Fed wants to cut rates again, they're driving blind. Why? Because the government shutdown has thrown the entire data pipeline into chaos. Crucial economic reports, the very numbers the Fed depends on, are now delayed or completely unavailable. Some government agencies have been gutted, with up to 80% of their staff furloughed. That means no analysts, no reports, no accurate read on inflation, jobs, or consumer spending. This makes a hasty decision from the Fed very dangerous. One wrong move, and we could plunge deeper into a full-scale economic crisis. And don't forget, Trump's absurd policies is what led to the government shutdown in the first place. Throwback to 2013, Donald Trump slammed President Obama over a 17-day government shutdown, tweeting that if he were in charge, it would never happen. Fast forward to today, Trump is in charge. And guess what? We're now in his 4th government shutdown. You can't make this up. What he once used as a weapon against Obama has now become a hallmark of his own presidency. So how did we even get here? What sparked this disastrous government shutdown? It all comes down to one thing, a brutal standoff over the federal budget. At the heart of the fight, healthcare. Democrats and Republicans are clashing over the extension of healthcare benefits, and a push to reverse Trump's controversial Medicaid cuts that have already impacted millions of low-income Americans. But while politicians argue, the shutdown is bleeding the US economy dry. Every week this shutdown drags on, it's costing the country a staggering $15 billion. That's lost productivity, unpaid workers, frozen projects, and shaken business confidence, all piling onto an economy that's already on the ropes. And the longer it lasts, the deeper the damage. You might be wondering, why did the Fed wait so long to cut rates? Well, here's your answer. Trump. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has been holding off on rate cuts because he's terrified of one thing, inflation. And where's that inflation pressure coming from? Trump's tariffs. These tariffs have jacked up costs across the board on raw materials, imported goods, and supply chains, putting upward pressure on prices and forcing the Fed to keep interest rates painfully high. So while the economy slowed, businesses struggled, and jobs were lost, the Fed stood still. Why? Because it was trying to clean up Trump's economic mess without making things worse. It's a lose-lose situation, and we're all paying the price. So here we are, a broken economy, a nation on edge, and a president still pretending everything's fine. Trump was handed a recovering economy on a silver platter, and in just 9 months, he's turned it into a slow-motion train wreck. Jobs are vanishing, small businesses are closing, prices are soaring, government workers are unpaid, and the political dysfunction keeps growing. But while millions of Americans are struggling, Trump and his billionaire cronies are laughing from the sidelines, sipping champagne, dodging blame, and rigging the system to stay in power. This isn't leadership, it's betrayal. And make no mistake, this isn't over. The October jobs report could be even uglier. The recession warning signs are flashing red, and unless something changes fast, we're headed straight into another economic disaster. So what happens next? Will Trump finally admit failure? Will the Fed cut rates in time? Or will the working class be left to suffer again, while the rich walk away untouched? Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video valuable, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and we shall see you again next time.